Once upon a time, when you bought something, it was yours. You could hold it. You could use it. Hell, you could even lend it to a buddy and never see it again. Because that's what owning something meant. But that's not the world we live in anymore. Welcome to the era of renting your own life. You don't buy games, you subscribe. You don't own movies, you stream them. You don't even pick up your own food anymore. Uber Eats just charges you an arm and a leg to feel like a king on a throne made of sporks. We have hit a point where everything from your entertainment to your dinner comes from a monthly payment plan. Congratulations, we've just managed to make life feel like a gym membership. You keep paying, but you never actually own anything. And here's the shit kicker. They sold it to us as convenience. But convenience isn't the gift, it's the leash. And every subscription we sign up for, the leash gets a little tighter. So tonight, we're talking about the subscription trap. How they got us here, why it's getting worse, and why it's time for every greedy little Jelly of the Month Club wannabe to take their value plan, turn it sideways, and stick it straight up. Wait a second, are we past the 11-second mark? Stick it straight up their candy asses. If there's one group that's seen this subscription madness coming from a mile away, it's the gamers. We were the test subjects, the guinea pigs, the people who went from lining up at midnight releases to refreshing our Game Pass library and realizing, oh, they took that game away. Cool. See, Game Pass started out like every good trap does. Friendly, affordable, fun. Netflix for games, they said, as if that was a compliment. And for a while, it worked. People loved it. We got used to a rotating library of big titles, indie games, and that glorious play it on day one marketing pitch. It felt like value. But here's the dirty little secret. It was never about value. It was about control. Fast forward to mid-2025. Xbox decides it's time to cash in. Prices spike, and for the first time in a long time, the player base, the people who built Xbox's reputation, actually pushed back. Hard. Like torch and pitchfork hard. Social media blew up. Memes were everywhere. You had guys canceling their subscriptions on stream, people tracking how much money they'd be paying for less content, and a wave of creators calling it out for what it was. Corporate greed dressed up as a premium tier. When you make enough noise, even the biggest companies in the room get nervous. They tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, like we didn't get their master plan to charge more money for the same service. But the truth was obvious. They wanted to tighten that leash. This was a moment that a lot of people finally saw the playbook. Get everyone hooked on the subscription, pull the rug later. And when they do it, you can't just walk away with your games because you don't actually own the games. They do. Remember the old days when you bought a game and it sat on a shelf and it didn't suddenly disappear because Phil Spencer needed a yacht upgrade? Today, if Game Pass decides a title's leaving, it's gone. Like Kaiser Soze gone. Sure, you can buy it now, at a discounted price of course, because nothing says customer loyalty like charging you extra for something you thought you already had. This isn't about Xbox being uniquely evil, it's about them being the first in line. They showed the rest of the industry that subscriptions are the perfect chokehold. It's not about what's in the library, it's about the fact that the library isn't yours. And once you accept that, they can raise the price, shrink the offerings, or remove your favorite game entirely. And all you can do is smile, nod, and keep swiping the credit card. Because convenience, that leash is already around your neck. If this were just about Game Pass, it would be annoying, but tolerable. You cancel your subscription, you buy the handful of games you actually cared about, and you call it a day. But no, this little corporate trick didn't stay locked into the world of gamings. Hell, it didn't even start in the world of gaming. But it has spread like an STD at Woodstock. Movies, TV, music, delivery services. Hell, your toothbrush probably has a subscription plan now. We're not customers anymore, we're monthly revenue streams. Take streaming services. Remember when Netflix felt like a steal? One price, a massive library, and a promise that cable was dead forever? Now, the same Netflix is a bloated, ad-infested nightmare that costs more than a cable bill was supposed to replace. They jacked up the price, cracked down on sharing, and somehow the library got worse. They're not alone. Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, Prime Video, they've all followed the same playbook. Hook you with low prices, then slowly squeeze you like a python. Shows you love just vanish. Entire movies disappear because someone in accounting realized it was cheaper to pretend they never existed. And let's not forget Sony. Beyond the PlayStation issues, they straight up removed movies people had already purchased from their digital libraries. Think about that. You paid for a product. They took it back, and their response was basically, our bad, but also go pound dirt. And because this clown car has no brakes, we've reached the era of the most pointless subscriptions ever conceived. You wish it was just Jelly of the Month Club, but there's razor subscriptions, toothbrush head subscriptions, AI-generated self-improvement subscriptions. There's probably a company out there charging people monthly to remind them to breathe. This is how you know they've perfected the hustle. It's not about offering something special, it's about training you to keep paying forever for things that used to be free, cheap, or, here's a crazy idea, things you could actually own. This isn't a digital marketplace anymore, it's a toll road, and every brand out there wants a booth. You're not buying products, you're paying rent on your own hobbies. If you want to see just how deep the subscription disease has spread, just look at food. Once upon a time, when you wanted a burger, you got in your car, you drove to a place that smelled like oil and disappointment, handed someone some cash, and you got your food. It was simple. You paid for what you got. You owned it, you ate it, and you moved on. Now, we have Uber Eats, or DoorDash, or whatever smiling tech vampire is draining your wallet with this week. What used to be a $12 item is now $28. Why? Because apparently, you need to pay 5 different service fees just to have a guy on a bike deliver something colder than your ex-wife's heart. But the genius of this scam isn't just the fees, it's the fact that these companies now offer subscription tiers to order food. Think about that. You're paying a monthly fee so you can pay more money to eat the same food. They took fast food, the cheapest, trashiest, most dependable meal in America, and turned it into a luxury item with a monthly plan. And here's where it gets darkly funny. Once you sign up, they start normalizing it. That $28 item doesn't feel like highway robbery anymore. It feels like convenience. You stop questioning it, and they know that. The Uber Eats model is the subscription trap in its purest, greasiest form. It's not about making your life easier, it's about making your wallet lighter while they keep raising prices like they're auctioning off air. And what's worse is, this kind of nickel and diming is conditioning. If you pay for food like this, then they can sell you anything this way. Movies, games, groceries, water. One day we're all going to wake up and realize that flushing the toilet comes with a $4.99 monthly maintenance fee. They already have one for your car to use keyless entry. So that's not really a stretch. Here's the grimy cherry on this shit sundae. Uber Eats still expects you to tip. There was a time when buying something actually meant something. You walked into a store, you handed over your money, and you walked out holding the thing you just bought forever. No contracts, no service agreements, no monthly fees, just ownership. For gamers, that meant a cartridge or a disc. You put it in your console and it worked. 10 years later, still works. No servers to worry about, no subscriptions lapsing, no corporate overlord deciding, yeah, we're done with that one. For movie lovers, it means a shelf lined with DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4K discs. The kind of collection that made your friends go, damn, you actually own the Reanimator on 4K? You didn't need Wi-Fi, you didn't need permission, you pressed play, and it worked. You could lend it to a buddy, trade it, resell it, or just let it sit there collecting dust in judgment. And the best part is, no one could take it away from you. And that's what's being lost in the subscription era. Not just a product, but the permanence. Ownership gave us power. It gave us a sense of stability. A game, a film, a record, it was ours. We didn't have to ask for access like kids begging for permission to go outside. Now, your library lives behind a login screen. You don't own it, you rent it. You pay your monthly tithe to the digital landlord and hope they don't remove content due to a licensing agreement. I have old Nintendo and PlayStation games that work like they were made yesterday. Meanwhile, half the digital games I bought 10 years ago are either gone or trapped behind a terms of service update I never agreed to in the first place. I want my copy of X-Men the arcade game. They won't re-release it, and I can't play it on the Xbox 360 anymore. Thanks, Microsoft. That's the difference between owning something and being allowed to have it. And that's why this isn't just nostalgia, it's a warning. Because when everything becomes a subscription, nothing is ever truly yours again. Here's the dirty little side effect of not owning anything anymore. You stop giving a damn. Back when you owned your media, you had skin in the game. You picked what to buy. You saved for it. You stood in line for it. And when you got home, it meant something. Just like me, I hated the Nintendo Wii in hindsight, but I waited 13 hours in line for it and made a lot of cool friends. So that is a very special moment for a very underwhelming video game console. And the same for movies. You didn't just watch a movie, you watched your movie. You didn't just play the game, you played your game. Now, it's all disposable. Scroll through a subscription library, click on something, half watch it while scrolling on your phone, and then forget it existed by morning. You didn't choose it. You didn't invest in it. It's just content. And content is cheap. That's why streaming charts are full of massive, expensive flops that nobody remembers. That's why a $500 million game can launch and be forgotten in a weekend. Hello, Concord. If you didn't buy it, if you didn't commit to it, why would you care? Companies figured out how to monetize indifference. Instead of convincing you to spend money on something great, they just need you to keep the subscription active. They don't need you to love what they make, just not cancel. That's it. That's the bar now. So they shovel out content instead of making art. They flood Game Pass and Netflix with forgettable filler like Supermarket Simulator. If I want to go to the grocery store, I'll just go to Kroger. I don't want to play a game about owning a Kroger. Why build a classic when you can build noise that keeps the metrics steady? The old model forced creators to earn your money. The subscription model just wants you to auto-pay. And the sad part is, it's working. That's why modern blockbusters don't feel like events, why games don't feel like investments, why nothing really hits the same anymore. When everything is on a conveyor belt, nothing feels special, and nobody has to try. This was never about making your life easier. Subscriptions were never about giving you more choices, they were about taking choice away. Slowly, so you wouldn't notice. Because the real goal isn't to sell you products, it's to make sure you never stop paying for permission to use them. Think about it. If you don't own anything, they don't earn your loyalty. They don't have to impress you. They just keep you on the hook. Raise the price here, or move a feature there. Lock something behind a new tier and call it premium. And you can't walk away because you don't have anything to walk away with. When everything is a subscription, they control access, and whoever controls access controls the culture. You don't get to build a collection anymore. You don't get to revisit things years later. You don't even get to decide what exists. One bad quarterly report and your favorite game, movie, or show vanishes into the algorithmic void. Gone forever. Here's the really sinister part. They're counting on you to get used to it, because when people grow up never owning anything, they don't miss ownership. They don't fight for it. They just shrug, click accept, and let the leash tighten a little more. That's how you end up with a media landscape where billion-dollar movies flop because nobody's invested, and a billion-dollar game dies in silence because nobody feels ownership. It's not just a market problem, it's a control problem. Physical media, personal libraries, real ownership, those were the anchors. They gave us cultural memory, shared experience. They forced companies to compete for our dollars. Take that away, and we're not customers anymore, we're tenants, and they're the landlords. And if you've ever dealt with a landlord, you know they don't care if you're happy, they care that your check clears. We didn't end up here overnight. They didn't just roll up to your house and demand you sign a subscription agreement on your own TV. No, they did it the smart way, slowly, quietly. First, they told us it was a convenience. Then they told us it was better. And now they don't have to tell us anything at all, because we've gotten so used to it. Subscriptions are everywhere. Gaming, movies, food, underwear. Probably the air you breathe is on the docket for next year. We live in a world where the things we love are less ours than they've ever been, and the companies making them care less than they ever have. And if that doesn't piss you off, it should, because the leash doesn't have to be made of metal to keep you in place. Sometimes it's made out of a monthly billing cycle or a terms of service nobody reads. But here's the thing they don't expect. People can still push back. We saw it with Xbox Game Pass. One price hike, one arrogant play, and the consumer revolt smacked them right in the face. That's power. That's proof. And the more they push, the more people are going to wake up to the scam. Because deep down, everyone remembers what it felt like to own something real. So yeah, tell me in the comments, what subscriptions have you had enough of? What's the dumbest thing you've ever been charged monthly for? I want to hear it all. I'll tell you mine down below. Because the only way to break this leash is to stop pretending that it's a gift. I know I have, and I hope a lot of you do too as well. So folks, thank you for watching. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this world-class video. But don't worry, I'm not going to give you something great and make you wait 5 years like Netflix does with Stranger Things. Join me this weekend for another world-class video. What are we going to talk about? What will it be about? Well, that's the surprise. But join me on Saturday for that and a whole lot more. Before I go, while I have your attention, Stealing Solo 2, my graphic novel, the comic book that I wrote and drew, is about to be ready. We're going to go live with the campaign. So make sure you guys don't miss out on that. We talk about wanting to change the world of entertainment and the culture and ownership. Well, if you buy a book from me, you get a nice physical book, and you get to own it forever. If you want to take it on a trip, if you want to take it to the doctor, if you want to take it to the bathroom, you can take it and do whatever you want with it. Because once you buy it from me and it is shipped out to you, it is yours to do with what you'd like. I just hope you read it and enjoy it. But until then, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.